So, I first want to talk about I want to talk about Tommy Robinson, but I'm just going to talk about my fish. I found 3 more fish babies yesterday. So, I gave them the only male back to the shop, and 3 adult orange fish, because they were having too many babies. And I think they did there was another birth just before I took them back, which kind of encouraged me, because I kept finding more and more taking them out of that they were in the male guppy tank, so I took the babies out and put them in the female guppy tank, because there was not that many orange ones that were big in the female guppy tank, and the bigger orange ones like to eat. The adult orange ones like to eat the babies, and because they're a lot bigger than the guppies and the fry, they eat them. So I've been taking them out of where the bigger orange fish were, and putting them into the tank where the smaller orange fish were. But I found, when I went to go and get some a few weeks ago, I found 3 more. So I knew the pineapple one, because I left the pineapple one in there, and she'd given birth to 3. But yesterday I found 3 more, and this morning I've noticed that there is still 1 more. There might even be more, I don't know. But usually they give birth to about 6 or 7 every time they have a birth. But often they get eaten. So if there has been a birth, there's only been 2 or 3, it might be because the other ones have been eaten already. But yeah, I found I found another one from one of the females that I took back. So I've managed to find 8 ever since I've taken those ones back. I've found 8 new ones. So I've got rid of 4 and I found 8 new ones. And I don't know how long they'll survive, because there are a couple of larger orange ones in that one now, because its time has moved on. They're getting bigger. So there are a couple of larger ones in there. So they still might get eaten, but anyway, I just thought I would say that, because I don't know. I've come across a video, an interview of Tommy Robinson talking to some journalists in France, and I absolutely love his absolute boldness and directness, because that there is an Islamic culture and an English culture, or a European culture, and they are very, very different. And I can't understand anyone who thinks that the Islamic culture is nice or good or anything nice about it, because it is about female oppression, and males walking around like zombies. The male Islamic garments looks like males are just walking around like zombies, and women too, mindless zombies. I don't understand anything nice about their culture. And there are some people, loads of people, who seem to believe that these cultures are equally good. We shouldn't judge, and I don't understand how anyone could say they're simple. I know some are about like peaceful. The Chinese culture, I guess, is different. Is it? The Chinese culture is different, I think. Is it really different? Like, how different is it? The Islamic culture, though, is very different, because they base everything on religion. Religion is such, like, you can't say anything. You can't hear a sentence from an Islamic person without hearing the word Allah bless you, or I don't know, complimenting Muhammad or complimenting God. You can't say, if you listen to an Islamic person in one of these countries talk, they can't talk without using the word God in it, even though they have no clue who I am. And it's just, the culture is very, very different, and there's so many people who think that they're equal. There's so many people who think they're equal, and they're not.
Do you think all cultures are equal?
You can't see this.
Yeah, you do. So you think Islamic culture, which says a woman is the property of a man, that's Islamic culture.
You don't need to see
it. Do you think that's equal to Western Christian culture? Do you?
I don't think it's the way to think of the Muslim, no?
You don't think? So
Extremism, yeah.
So not extremism, no, Islamic culture. So let's go to Pakistan. Yeah, is Pakistan's culture the equivalent of British Western Christian culture? Do you think they're equal? This is a difficult question, because it's going to shatter your whole worldview. Do you think they're equal? Come on, do you? You're scared to say. Do you think they're equal?
I'm trying to work out why she's so reluctant to respond to such a question, because there's loads of people who are like this. I'm not going to insult, I'm going to insult extremism, yes, but I'm not going to insult the Islamic culture. I mean, why would there be so many people that wouldn't insult it? I hate the Islamic culture so much that I don't understand why no one would want to insult it, or why anyone would see it as being the same. And I like how he kind of goes to the point.
Islamic culture is a third world shithole. Yeah?
Yes.
Our Western culture,
except for Dubai,
far superior. Far superior. The best culture in the world. This culture that oppresses women, executes homosexual, legalises sex with children. This is backward and degenerate. Yeah? So I can comfortably say that because I don't have any master who's going to sack me. But you, again, I'll ask you the simple question. Islamic culture, Christian culture, are they equal? Are they equal? Come on. Go move to Pakistan.
That's like... It's something that I want to point out, because there's a lot of people who literally think the same way. Islamic culture, Christian culture, exactly the same. And it's like, are you ignorant or something? Are you ignorant to what the Islamic culture actually is? Men marrying children is not an extremist view. This is just normal view. Thinking that you need to die because of drawing a picture of Muhammad. This isn't an extremist view. This is a typical view. And I don't know what I would love to know, like how many things in Islam the Islamic people on whole believe. Like, if there is some sort of test, I would love there to be some sort of test that actually just goes through all the things in the Quran and says, do you believe this? Do you believe this? And I'd like a Westerner person to actually list these things and say, like, is this reasonable? Is there a reason? Should you die for insulting Allah, even though no one actually knows who Allah is? If you say Allah is a shithole or Allah is a cunt or something, like, should you be killed for saying something like that, even if you don't know who this person is or anything? And I just, Islamic culture for me it includes so much mental illness, and part of Islamic culture is mental illness. Now, there's something I like about Islamic culture. I guess if there's one thing that I like about Islamic culture, some of the buildings. Was that India? In India, there's like a nice Jasmine Princess Castle. I like that. Is that Islamic though? I don't even know if that is the Jasmine Princess Castle. Is that supposed to be like an Islamic building or something? I don't know. That's okay, but there's very few other things.
Would you move to Pakistan if it's so beautiful? Don't live under Islamic culture. So I guarantee you, you don't live surrounded.
I guess I'm bringing this up because I've had a couple of people that have told me that Islam is beautiful, and I want to ask these people the same question. Why is Islam beautiful? Why is it beautiful? What is beautiful about it? And I did ask that lady. I think that there's one in the steam room who I asked, and it was not a different one, someone a few months ago or something. And she told me Islam was beautiful, and I didn't have an argument with her back then. But I was kind of like, what's beautiful about it? I mean, Pakistan is. I didn't know that 40% are illiterate. I mean, I still haven't been there, so I can't criticize so much Islamic culture because I haven't really gone there too many places. But I always go to the tourist areas. But I've did a tour around Tunisia and Egypt, and they're shitholes. They're absolute shitholes. You look around the poor areas, that there's the villages and the towns, and it's just a desert where houses are all designed to, no one's finished the house. If you want to have a finished complete house that looks nice, you have to pay extra taxes, and no one wants to pay extra taxes. So everyone has like these things. Everyone has an uncompleted house because they've done stuff to the top of their roof that makes it look like they want to go one step higher, and they've done that deliberately so they don't have to pay taxes. If you have a completed house, you have to pay tax on it, and so because of that, all the buildings are designed to make them look unfinished and shit. Now, to me, that is a completely backwards rule. Your governments have said, right, how can we make these Islamic towns look like shitholes? Oh, let's say we'll have to charge you a huge amount of money if you complete your house and make it looking nice. So, but if it looks like a building site, then we won't charge you. And so all the houses are designed so that they look like they're still working on it. They're still going up higher. They've got another level to go, and you've completely destroyed all the houses because of that. And that's your culture. There's lots of people selling stuff on the streets, and usually false false designer stuff, pretending false labels and stuff.
Islamic culture, no, but they're equal. You see, that is the defining weak moment of every Western journalist. You can't honestly believe they're equal. You just can't. As a female, you can't. You can't believe they're equal. I'll tell you, let me ask you this. What's good about Islamic culture? What's good about Islam? One more question.
What is the difference between Islamic culture and extremism?
You make a difference between Islamic culture and extremism. You make a difference between Islamic culture and extremism. So yes, I understand there's extremism, but we're talking about Islamic culture.
How? I mean, to me, I think saying every sentence with the word Allah in it, or not being able to say Muhammad's name without saying peace be upon him, or blah, 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 because you have to say it in a different language, this to me is extremist. To not be able to say a person's name without having to say how amazing he is or how blessed he is, or to not be able to wear sports clothing when you go and play sports, to have to have there's so many things in it that I feel like Islam is a bunch of extreme views. It's extremist. To wear what they wear is an extremist. Everything about it is extremist, and I feel like to define the difference between extremists and Islam, it would be quite hard. There's a difference between terroristic views, which is extremist hatred towards people, but I think almost everything in Islam, well, a lot of things in Islam is extreme, like to just force women to wear certain clothes, to prevent them from being able to drive, to prevent them. I know those things are different, because I've heard that in Dubai someone actually got put in prison having sex with a consenting 17-year-old when he was 18. And that guy that died, I heard it in the news yesterday that someone died in a car crash, but he had just come out of a jail for being put in prison for 6 months. So I know that in Dubai they obviously do have laws against. So I know that there must be. I don't know about the laws in the different countries, and he was put in prison for having consensual sex with a 17-year-old. To me, I don't think that would be something you would expect in England. I'm not. I don't think 17 is a child, so I don't see anything really wrong with an 18-year-old having sex with a 17. I don't see anything wrong with that at all, actually, to be honest. But if that happened in England, if someone got put in prison, if an 18-year-old got put in prison for 6 months for having sex with a 17-year-old, I don't agree with it, but I don't support it either. And but yeah, it's not shockingly bad. Although the prisons in Dubai or wherever it was must have been horrific. So. But he was pardoned after 6 months, or was it 3 months? I don't know. But yeah, just going back to this.
Show me which country. I'll tell you what. There's 55 Islamic countries. Which one of them has amazing, brilliant human rights records? Which one? Just name me one. One successful Islamic cultured country that has good human rights and freedom. Like one. Name me one. There's 55. Name one. Lebanon, where has rule? A fucking war zone. Lebanon. There's freedom in Lebanon. Is there? Do you know the history of Lebanon? When he was Christian, you're French, so when he was Christian, what happened to him? The Islamic civil war, where they overthrew the Christian government and they raped, pillaged and murdered everyone. That's your successful Islamic culture. Okay. Jesus. Lebanon's a success story, so we want France to be like Lebanon. Is that a success? If France becomes Lebanon?
When it comes to these things, I think a lot of people don't really know about all of them. I know I don't even know which countries are Islamic, and I don't go to Islamic countries. I don't like the idea of having to walk around with a chaperone, because that to me is an extremist view, that you have to, the only way a woman can be safe is if she walks around with a man. Isn't that an extremist view? I'd love to actually point out, because the people are saying, oh yeah, I want to separate the difference between an Islamic culture and extremism. But wouldn't you think that's pretty extreme, to think that a woman can only be safe in an Islamic country if they walk around with a man? A woman can only be safe if they walk around completely covered up. A woman can only be safe if she doesn't start holding a Bible, or doesn't go to an Islamic temple and start thanking God, or saying Jesus. You know, there are so many things that a person can do in an Islamic country and get killed over it, and yet if an Islamic person came here and did the exact same thing against Christianity, nothing would happen to them. You know, there is so much complete. If you look at it, you know, Islam is an extremist religion because they make their people do extreme things and call it normal. And therefore, I think it should be a good idea to separate the difference between extremist and what's it? And just culture. Because if you did that, you would start to realize that actually extremism is part of their culture. A lot of things in their culture is just, I can't even say the list. I need to write down the list. Someone else needs to write down the list. Write down every single extremist view that Islamic people see as being just normal, and find out how many people would say, is this extremist? Would you say that it's an extremist thing to say that a woman can't drive? Although I don't know the exact details on which countries allow this. You know, I thought Islam doesn't. Some Islamic countries apparently have banned the face covering and stuff. So I can't say. You know, maybe Saudi Arabia is one of the better ones, because I've heard that they're loosening up on a lot of stuff. But yeah, loosening up on a lot of stuff, if they were very extreme, is doesn't mean much. But at the same time, I don't know how extreme it is. You know, I can't really comment on all this because I don't know what all the different Islamic cultures are. I know there's one that's supposed to be 50% Christian and 50% Muslim, and I've heard that works fairly well, but I don't know which ones it is. So I can't, I'm not in the position to actually comment on this, but I just want to make a comment. I just wanted to talk about that because there are so many people that see these cultures as being the same. And if you see these cultures as being the same, why? Why do you see them as being the same when one is clearly wrapped around extremism? And you could say, oh, I hate extremism, but how many things in Islam are extremists? You know, if we said, if we got killed if people thought that it's fine to be killed for drawing a picture of Jesus, I mean, wouldn't you say that that's an extremist view? Yes. So and a lot of the things in Sharia law is you know, Sharia law means to keep with the ways of Muhammad and stuff. And well, Muhammad had a bunch of extremist views. So if his whole religion is built up around, if your whole religion is built up around Muhammad, then of course you're going to find that extremism is tied to the religion, because the person who formed or is known for forming the religion was tied to extremist views and practices and stuff. And